Imagine walking into your own dealership, ready to buy a car like any other customer. But when you overhear two strangers talking behind you, the words stop you dead in your tracks. What are they saying about you? And how will you respond when you find out it's about more than just a car? In tonight's story, Marcus Davis, the owner of a highly successful car dealership chain, is going undercover to experience his business as a customer. But what starts as a simple test drive quickly unravels into a confrontation with the past and the realization that his business may not be as successful as it seems. Stick around to see how this undercover mission turns into a fight for redemption and the truth. Marcus Davis was proud of his success. Davis Motors had grown into one of the most reputable car dealerships in the city. His employees were loyal, the reviews were good, and the sales numbers were climbing. Yet, Marcus had a lingering feeling that something was missing, something he couldn't put his finger on. He feared he had become disconnected from the soul of his business and his customers. So, like he had done in the past when things felt off, he decided to go undercover. Not as a manager or secret shopper, but as a regular buyer. He walked into his own dealership one rainy afternoon wearing a plain hoodie, jeans, and sunglasses, hoping no one would recognize him. He walked up to the receptionist, who barely looked up. Just looking around, thanks. He was treated like any other customer. The feeling of being unnoticed felt strange, but oddly reassuring. But as Marcus stood in the lobby, his eyes scanning the showroom floor, he heard two voices behind him, two customers talking in hushed tones. "Do you think he'll even show up?" "I don't know, man. I'm not sure he's even here, but this place is shady. What if we get stuck with a car we can't afford?" The words didn't seem to match a casual shopping conversation. Marcus's curiosity was piqued. Who were they talking about? His business? Him? Deepening suspense and back and forth. As Marcus listened closely, the conversation grew more intense. "I heard the guy who owns this place is a fraud. He's been getting away with it for years, selling cars that break down within weeks and offering warranties that don't cover anything." Marcus's stomach churned. He thought back to the past few months, his dealership's struggle with customer complaints about faulty parts and the rise in returns. Could this be about him? Was his dealership starting to lose its credibility? "You really think it's him? The big shot who owns the dealership?" The second customer's voice had a bitter edge. "Yeah, it's him," the first customer responded. "All the reviews say he's a liar, that he only cares about the money. I heard he treats his staff like garbage, too." Marcus stood frozen, his back to the two customers. The words stung like a slap across the face. He wasn't sure how much of it was true, but it was undeniable that something had gone wrong. Why hadn't anyone told him? How had it all fallen apart without him noticing? The second customer continued. "I'm not paying full price for a lemon. Let's just see if this guy really shows his face. Maybe we can ask him some questions." Marcus felt a knot tighten in his chest. He knew he had to act, but how? Revealing his identity might just make things worse. He needed to find out what was really going on without alerting anyone. Marcus's heart raced, his hands clenched into fists. This was it. He had to face the truth, no matter how much it hurt. He took a deep breath and turned around. "Hey," he said, trying to sound casual, his voice slightly trembling. "I couldn't help but overhear. You guys seem pretty upset about something. Can I help?" The two customers froze. The first one stared at him, his eyes widening. The second one looked just as shocked, then narrowed his eyes. "Wait a minute. You're him, aren't you? Marcus Davis?" Marcus nodded, his heart thudding in his chest. The two customers exchanged looks, the tension thick in the air. "Yeah, we know who you are, and we're not the only ones. People are talking about how you've been ripping them off for years." The words hit Marcus like a sledgehammer. His mind raced. Could it be true? He'd built this business with integrity, hadn't he? He couldn't remember when things started slipping. "You don't even care about the people you're supposed to be helping," the second customer spat. "You've made millions off our backs while we're stuck with these cars that fall apart and service that's a joke." Marcus's face flushed, but he stayed calm. He had no choice but to face these accusations head on. "What are you talking about? I've never done anything to hurt anyone. You've got it wrong." The first customer crossed his arms. "Do I? You don't see the full picture. You're just too busy looking at your bottom line to notice how your staff is treated and how we're getting screwed over." Marcus's stomach dropped. These weren't just customers. These were people who had been failed by his business, and he had no one to blame but himself. "I don't think you're hearing me," the second customer said. "If you really cared, you'd fix this, but I doubt you will." Marcus stood there, unsure of how to respond. This was his wake-up call. The company he had built, the empire he had created, was crumbling right before his eyes. He needed to fix this, and fast. After the encounter with the two customers, Marcus was shaken, but he knew that if he wanted to redeem himself and restore Lawson's reputation, he had to make things right. The next day, he called a meeting with his senior staff. He came clean about the situation and shared his decision. He was going to overhaul the way the dealership operated. No more cutting corners, no more dishonest sales tactics. It was time to restore trust with both his customers and his employees. In the weeks that followed, Marcus worked tirelessly to fix the problems that had been buried for so long. He personally reached out to customers who had been wronged, offering them refunds, free services, and personal apologies. He also revamped his employee training programs to ensure that everyone in his dealership felt valued and respected. One day, as he walked into his dealership for a routine check-in, he saw the two customers from that fateful day. They were sitting together, chatting with one of his salespeople. The first customer glanced at him and gave a small nod. "You've made a lot of changes. People are starting to notice." Marcus smiled, feeling a glimmer of hope. The road to redemption wouldn't be easy, but it had begun. The dealership was buzzing with a renewed energy. Marcus had done the work, but it wasn't over. He had learned the hardest lesson of all, that to truly succeed, you need more than just profits. You need trust, you need integrity, and above all, you need to care.